Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of films.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP, Film Viewers.
on the back of last week's film. You'll be happy to know, Soph, that we're covering a film that's has a runtime of hour and a half.
Woo! Yes! Just what I need. Especially since it's so nice today. It's like one of those things where watching a film when it's summer, you need it short and compact. Yeah, I think if it's winter months, you can kind of get away with being a little bit longer.
Is that your logic?
Yeah, because you don't feel guilty staying inside.
Okay.
When it's a nice,
I guess so. Yeah,
nice day.
Unless it's like an outdoor screening or somewhere, then it's justifiable. Like festivals, like that's the time for when to go see them. Is a big like Glastonbury and things when the weather's supposed to be nice.
Yeah. But I mean, like if you're going to the cinema and it's a glorious day, then you feel a bit like
there's that many people in there. That's the good thing.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Because everyone else is out on the beach or whatever. Yeah. But then you come outside and you're like, I'm blind.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So this week's film choice is something I've only seen once, to be fair, but I remember it being pretty good. For an action film, I'm not too it's not my favourite genre really. It's kind of all kind of samey in some regards.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was kind of like a clever twist on it because it's kind of like a science fiction element to it rather than just straight up going all guns blazing shooting or anything like that. So a bit of a thriller in that sense.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't mind an action. It is predictable sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And the action sometimes bores me. It depends on how long it goes on for.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping, obviously, because this is quite a short one, it's going to work in that for your favour.
I hope so.
Yeah. So the film is called Source Code, and it's starring Jake Gyllenhaal.
Who broke Taylor Swift's heart. Don't know if I can tolerate it. I have to write a 10-minute song about him.
That'd be interesting. Come out
I don't think I'd last. I don't think I could last 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2-minute song. Right. It's also got Michelle Monaghan in, who I think she's in. Was it Maid of Honor?
She was. I was just going to say it, and you took it away from me.
Okay.
It's like I know her.
Yeah.
That was like my favourite film before I met you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I say it's a bit more actiony, so...
No, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Tell me what it's about.
Okay. So the synopsis reads... I went to IMDb this time. It sounds a lot more coherent and than what Google had to offer. A soldier wakes up in someone else's body and discovers he's part of an experimental government program to find the bomber of a commuter train within 8 minutes.
How does he wake up in someone else's body?
It's the government's experiment.
What's that one that we watched and we had 100 things to film on?
RoboCop.
Is that like it? It's like, we're going to make him instead of like...
No, he's not the same person. Like, he got shot up, so then we put him in a robot suit. It's not that.
But he got shot up and then now they've put him in a different body, but his brain and everything is still functioning.
He's wired into somebody else's...
Ew.
What do you mean, ew?
It's awful. Imagine that happening to you and then you look at yourself thinking, this isn't me. Like, your the private parts are not yours.
That's when you take him from that.
Yeah.
When you've got a mission to do. Time's against you. Like, thinking, like I'm a junk. Is it the same? Is it better? Is it worse?
I didn't mean that, but it's like, well, I don't really
How do I sound?
Touch that.
What
That's
do I look
not
like?
Mine. It's clearly not mine, and like, so you know what I mean? You not even thought about this, have you? Like, you just scammed over that. Like, that's okay. Yep, he just gets put in someone else's body. That's fine.
Yeah. I wasn't really thinking of that when I was watching the film all those years ago. It's just over 10 years since I've seen it. So, but I didn't also know that the director of it is David Bowie's son. Sophie's face. It's just like blinking like, what?
Why did you tell me that?
It's got no influence. There's not going to be any... I don't think there's any David Bowie songs or anything like that, so it's not like he's...
I didn't even know he had a son. Nor did I know that his son did anything, if he had one.
What? That's a bit harsh.
No, but like made an impact, like in music or movies or whatever in that form. I didn't know.
Right. Okay.
Is it just because he's David Bowie's son that he's got away with doing that? It's like David Beckham's son.
He hasn't done many films.
Right. See, exactly.
Well, you think that's the quality of the films, or?
Yeah, it's gone downhill now. You just told me that someone's been shoved into somebody else's body. And David Bowie's son's got something to do with it. What did he do? Directed, did you say?
Yeah, directed it, yeah.
Okay.
Don't hold that against him, though. I'm just saying there's a bit of interesting information.
Right.
But I don't know if I should have kept that till after the fact, but I don't think you would have. I don't think you would have really noticed.
I wouldn't have even cared for it, and unknown even if
Yeah.
it was David Bowie, unless he's cramming songs in. Then I'd be aware. I think we'll be fine on that factor.
But I didn't know until actually recently looking at that, so I wouldn't have known.
Didn't even know his son did that, to be fair. Didn't even know he had one.
Why? You really didn't think he would have had a...
No, they thought he was gay.
Well, I mean...
Or like...
bi, yeah, I
don't
know.
Or
it's
something curious.
Anyway, yeah. So, I'm going to check it out now. See what you think. Hopefully you enjoy, despite that knowledge.
Bombshell.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's only an hour and a half anyways if I don't.
Yeah. Okay, well, speak to you in a bit.
I took your advice. It was good advice, thank you.
Watch it.
You look pale, everything okay? Sean? Sean?
And we're back from watching Source Code. What did you think?
I always forget. I kind of want to ask you what your thoughts were, but you didn't. You've seen it already. Because now we kind of do this...
Like I said before, I've seen it once.
10 years
Remembered
ago
it
or so.
Being good, and I was more intrigued to know how it held up after such a long period. And it was kind of, honestly, it's kind of like, I remember bits of it, but I don't remember a great deal like how it. I know it was kind of happy in a sense, but
kind of
how quickly the reveal happened, the twist reveal was, how long that came about and stuff. But
it's a strange one because you don't get any background on this film. Initially, you just kind of on a train. You don't really get to know the character beforehand, if that makes sense. You kind of only learn the twist in the middle. You're learning
as the character's learning, essentially.
Yeah, I guess so. And after a while, obviously he only has 8 minutes being on this train, and then he's back to kind of square one again. And I think it was getting a little bit like Groundhog Day, but even worse, because it wasn't even a day, it was just 8 minutes. So it was like the same lines and everything was happening at the same time. And I was thinking, oh God, if this doesn't like improve and it's just going to be like this all the time, it's going to be really repetitive and boring. So I think they did it about 4 times, like the same thing. Where the coffee spill, she was saying the same lines, was the girl on the train, and then the ticket and all of that. And then it was like, okay, I get that you going to this point at the same time, but it was just like...
It would be a very boring film if it was just systematically going, right, okay, what did you learn this time? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, you got that little bit of information, right, go back in, and it just being...
The same thing.
Say if the film was... like going for the 8 minutes, so the film added up to 8 minutes for the entire length of the film, even though that wouldn't be able to work because you'd also need the bits of explaining what did you learn from the situation. Maybe like they made maybe 2 minutes of that, and then it goes back to 8 minutes. That could be interesting, but it would be very boring, I think.
Yeah. And I think that's where I was like, oh, this film needs to get on with it because I'm getting a bit bored of watching the same thing. Yeah, there's little things that change and there's little things like he does to try and make it different, but it's not at the beginning and it's a bit of a bore until you get into the middle where things are coming like under the way, so you learn that he's not actually here.
He's in someone else's body, yeah.
Yeah, and he realises that his reflection of who he thinks he isn't himself, but both of them are actually dead. So he's died 2 months ago, basically. We find that further along, but the character dies on the train. So that's Sean that dies on the train.
Yeah.
But Steve, the military man...
Stevens, yeah. Just call him Stevens. That's his surname, but
he's died 2 months ago in
Afghanistan. Yeah.
So it's really strange how it all works, and I still don't understand the source code itself. So how that works, I know at the end it kind of explains it.
It kind of gives a brief overview. It's to do with they've dumbed it down to source code equals time reassigning as opposed to time travel. Really, it's just it's to do with the synaptic map linking between the two people. That's why he was specifically for that person, because they had the same, I don't know, like how you need to be so specific in like the height, the build.
Can I just be a bit funny though?
The mental capacity, I don't know.
How did they know that when he was burnt to smithereens was Sean on the train? How did they know his height? How did they know his weight and his all of that to get that? Do you know what I mean?
Medical history,
maybe. It just seems really strange, like how.
Although it's like in that time frame, if they're working on the clock anyway for that, right, that Bob was going to strike somewhere next, they haven't got a lot of time to think on, right, get paperwork up, who was on that train, have you got to sift through all that stuff. Obviously there's a lot of people in this military scientific operation going on, but there's not a lot of time to, when you think of it that way, to scour through everybody, right, go right, this guy, link him to that.
Yeah. It just seems, I don't know, a bit far-fetched, I guess, but then it's the government and what they do, well, what we think's legal is, or shouldn't be legal, it probably is, but we're just not aware of it. It's like Men in Black, isn't it?
Is it though?
It's worse, but it's like hiding things from us.
They're just wiping your memory, not reassigning.
But how do you know they don't do that and they just wipe your memory?
In which?
In either. Do you know what I mean? Like, in Men in Black, they could do whatever they want to you and then just wipe your memory. You wouldn't know what they're doing.
No.
Scary to think that the government would be like that. It might be like that, but we just wouldn't know. If it has one of those sticks that goes, you forgot everything now.
Wouldn't put it past them. There's an plausible actual thing. You have some description. You know, like just him hooked up to a chair and your mind erased or something. Yeah. It's all these science fiction films, and they're probably not too far from the truth.
But I always think there must be some form of truth or some reality within it, because people's imaginations are good, but they're not that good.
People can come up with all kinds of weird, wonderful stuff, but you gotta have some inspiration from something. Yeah.
I also want to ask, is it Christine? Is that the lead of the girl? Are her and Sean a thing, or is it like they've been friends and then, because it seems that she's quite into him, but then her ex is ringing her quite a bit. And it's like, what is this actual relationship? Because I still don't know by the end if it's just Stephen's like characteristics that turns that relationship around into something more. Because
it's being a bit more like, you know, saving the world or whatever kind of mentality, and just being a bit more somewhat spontaneous about things. And I think it's kind of implied that they were kind of just friends, but not really been anything more than that until now. She's kind of like surprised and taken aback by how much she's turned around. But obviously you're seeing it more as Jake Gyllenhaal as opposed to the actor who's, you know, he is actually in the body of.
Yeah.
Because I think really that's for, well, obviously easier to to do it that way, and it's like it's more appealing. Sorry to the offense to the guy who's actually is, but
Are you saying he's more better looking, Paul? Is that what you're saying? Jake Gyllenhaal is better looking?
well, yeah, it would. I know, obviously,
have
like,
a
more
bit
like
of a-
Joe Bloggs type of
Yeah.
person, and be like, as your action star, I don't know how well that would have gone down, to be honest. But again, it's more star power, isn't it, for
But
action?
my
films,
gripe
like-
is,
Yeah.
yes, you're right, Jake Gyllenhaal is the better looking. However, the Joe Bloggs, he looked taller in the mirror than Jake Gyllenhaal, and he looked broader. So this whole weight size thing, it's a load of bollocks. Wasn't it? Because he looked taller. You can't say then when we zoomed
He
back
certainly
to
looked a bit more chunky in
chunkier.
the face,
Yeah.
if anything. But
But yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
again, probably not a lot of time to be going very. That's probably the closest they've got. Yeah,
It'll
it's like
do.
you'll do. Yeah,
It seems to get more enjoyable as the story goes in. So when he's getting a bit annoyed, he's kind of getting more het up, is Jake Gyllenhaal, where he's kind of like, well,
as a viewer, would you feel the same way of level of annoyance as him in that situation? You know, like you want the answers, and like, why aren't you giving me?
yeah.
Why are you dancing around the subject? Just
I hate it if nobody
Yeah.
gives me a full story. Like, even in work environments, when they tell you something's going to happen and then they don't tell you the full story,
Mhm.
it's like, well, how am I meant to help or work along with you if you don't give me everything? Why are you hiding something from me? It just gets you back up.
Yeah.
And I think he knows which ones he can rely on within, like, the government. Like, obviously, I forgot her name, the lady that talks to him the most.
yeah, I've forgotten as well. I know it's played by Vera Farmiga, but
Don't know who that is either, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
And then you've got
military
the
lady that's called
other guy, the captain, more the
the one with the walking
stick.
Yeah,
He's kind of a bit of a crock, really.
a crook.
Yeah, he's a bit of a baddie, but goodie. It's like he's wanting to save the train and the other people, but he's built this
he's
source
got bigger
code.
ideas. Yeah, behind it, he's almost
His
like
morals are not really in the right
Yeah.
place.
he seems a bit not so much skittish, but he's kind of like not doesn't seem all there kind of thing, like almost like mad scientist, like over a mumbly kind of.
Yeah, he wants the
Personal
project to go well
about him.
instead of actually thinking of the humans.
Yeah,
It does seem a bit wrong, really.
it's kind of like a morality thing to this. You know, is it fair to keep someone
No.
alive and
If
for the
someone's
sake of
dead,
yeah.
they're dead. It's like,
you know, like the whole pulling the plug thing on somebody who's like very much suffering in hospital or something. It's like, is it unless they give consent to do that, or whether you should just do it and just go like, oh.
I think
to
it's
do it
more
just 'cause you
down to
feel
that
bad.
person. I think he blatantly said, after this mission, once I've completed it and once I've gone back in, I don't want to be going through this anymore. I want to kind of be in peace. And I feel like it should be anyone's choice, and they should be allowed to kind of have that choice, and somebody would be willing to help them with it, really. So luckily we do have the military lady that is willing to do that for him, whereas the other guy is thinking, oh, well, I've done brilliant with this thing I've made, even though it's morally wrong.
Let's get some more people on board and have
Yeah.
the same.
Like,
thing
fair
we
enough,
do.
like, if you die in a car crash and then you say you want all your organs, or,
Yeah, people do that.
and
yeah.
you sign, and if somebody signed to say, yeah, I'm happy, but once I die, if you want to do that with my body, then fair enough, but I don't think that is the case in this film.
No.
Like, it's not like you've ticked to...
Who signed on to be plugged into a machine to
Yeah.
help solve crimes.
No.
Yeah, no, that's not really a thing they do.
The only thing I took from it, though, with this was, what would you do if you only had a minute left to live? Like, that line there for me was like, because every time he was dying over and over again, basically,
Mhm.
every 8 minutes the train would blow up.
Yeah.
It does make you think, if you had that opportunity, what would you do if you knew in like 8 minutes' time you were going to die?
There's not a lot you can do in that time, to be fair, realistically.
Especially on a train,
You
but
could make, but you could make like the best sandwich ever, like a last meal type of thing, I suppose, if you're in means of proximity or something. I don't know.
Well, thanks, Paul. Go for a sandwich instead of me.
What do you mean to tell you I love you?
Yeah, you could
Do
kiss.
that. Do that in the same time while making the sandwich. Are you talking to me or the sandwich?
I was more going sentimental at me.
Yeah, I know, it's easy,
Like,
but...
kiss your
yeah,
future
or
wife
call
or
someone,
hug.
like he does. I know, yeah, I'm just joking.
A sandwich. No, I don't think you... How could you make a sandwich on a train as well?
I know, I'm just meaning anywhere.
Okay.
Obviously, no, you didn't say specifically on the train, you just said, what would you do if you had a
Yeah,
minute
true.
to live? It depends on the situation. In the middle of a field, you'd be like, oh, well, crap. I've got to run to think I'll try and call someone. That's all you can do with that situation. Or you just go, right, lie on the grass, look up the sky, hope if it's not miserable.
Eat me sandwich. Oh, I can't believe that. So, would you not ring your parents or like family members?
Well, then you're going to have to start calling everybody up, aren't you? Like, priorities are normally your very close ones, like you.
Okay, thanks. At least
Yeah.
we've clarified
Yeah.
that. That's
You might-
good to know.
Obviously, then it's also then, like, say, like, you're trying to get hold of someone, like, maybe your sister, for example, who's, like, terrible when you answer. And it's like...
Never
well,
answer.
So, like, oh, never mind. Won't even
I'll just
bother.
leave her a voicemail. Right,
Well,
says
yeah.
I'm dying in 8 minutes. I love you. Bye.
Yeah, that's all you can do, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
Drop them a text.
Well, my 8 minutes would take up if me and Sarah went on the phone.
Mhm.
I won't ring anybody else because I won't
Yeah.
get off. Maybe the sandwich sounds like a better idea.
hmm So, another thing that this film brings up anyway is parallel universes.
Which is strange because we watched Doctor Strange.
Yeah, finally. When it came on Disney Plus, yeah.
Yeah, because we're cheapskates.
Yeah.
Well, we pay the Disney Plus. We might as
Yeah,
well.
exactly, utilise it, yeah.
You know, it ain't cheap for the year, is it? So,
Ain't cheap for the cinema these days either, so... And to be... No offence to what Marvel's kind of become a little bit after Endgame, but it's kind of a bit middling in terms of
like,
what you kind of get dedicating your time to. Is it worth it? It's going to just be like a mediocre watch type of thing?
it was good. I won't say it wasn't, but I think it's one of those... It's like Star Wars for me. It's
That's
like
gotten
they're
a
just churning out so that you can get more and more, but it's not actually... It's quantity over quality.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Not that I would say, like, The Mandalorian... Sorry, I'm going way off topic here, but like that series was pretty good as a standalone TV series. There's Baby Yoda in, so selling point obviously for many people. And the Obi-Wan series, that was okay. It wasn't like mind-blowingly out of this world. Like this needed to be told as such. It was kind of just it did kind of seem like filler, but it wasn't like, oh, this is absolutely worthless type of television, but.
I just think it's because it's got that name, hasn't it?
Yeah. If it was anybody else, you were like, I'm not really
Tap
interested.
me ass now watching it.
Yeah.
But with going back to
Multiverses.
yeah. Basically, my logic is I'm kind of glad I watched Stranger Things to understand, not Stranger Things, shit hell, Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I'm glad I watched Stranger Things though. I'm not gonna lie. Kind of. I guess they've got a multiverse, but it's
different reality. Yeah.
reality. Yeah, I guess that could work. But Doctor Strange, it helped you see this kind of logic behind it, so it kind of helped with this film a little bit to understand the other outcomes, because the ending is still a bit of a head scratch for me in the source code.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of initially he finds out who the bomber is. He ties that person up in the end. Well, no, initially he finds the bomber and lets the government know, and then he wants one last
loop round. Yeah. To be the hero, essentially. Like,
I think he just wants
do
to
all the
die
best bits. Yeah.
a hero. Is that basically what he's in his head? It's like, after that, turn me off, kind of switch me off.
Yeah.
So he wants to die being a hero. Doesn't mean that actually he is. It might not have
No,
worked.
but at his point of ending his life, then he can sort of like, essentially, he's then in a dream state and he's passed on and he can do whatever he wants, really, essentially. In his mind, obviously... We don't really know what happens when we do cross over from living to deceased.
I don't think it's a dream state, so to speak. I'd like to think that everybody that has already passed is there.
Yeah, because it'd be like a dream that you constantly living out then.
Yeah,
because
that'd
that's
get
quite
annoying.
vivid in that sense, because obviously especially if he's kind of reliving that, then he's got a good sense of like all the people that are on the train and everything, and all those visuals that in the intricate details, like the coffee cup spilling and those things. So then he's got that mapped out in his head for visualizing continuing the story, basically.
But then is it that he's still lived on?
In his in the afterlife, I'd say.
But what about Sean?
But I think he would be in Sean's body, but we would still see him as Jake Gyllenhaal, but
because that reflection of that thing where I don't know if they're in New York or something.
No, they're in Chicago.
That dome thing.
Yeah.
That was Jake Gyllenhaal looking at Sean in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
It was reflected.
That's why he said, like, do you feel like was it deja vu or something? He said at the end, yeah. This is where we need to be right now. Something he says, yeah.
Yeah, but then I don't know if they actually are alive or not, because then the next bit is
no, they're not.
No, go with me.
Okay.
This is where I get confused.
Yeah.
Because the next bit is he sends a text message to the military before the train should supposedly blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, the last time he went in, the train didn't blow up because he saved them.
Yeah.
All. And she received that message. And they knew then prior.
Mm-hmm.
So was this in a different...
I think it must be in a different reality.
So then does that mean in a different reality he's still alive as Sean somewhere? Do you get me? Instead of a dream state, is he actually still living as Sean?
I said to you as well, like in this, it could well be that you might find, obviously, because they're in a different reality when he's in this container thing and he's talking to her military lady when from, as a dead soul, which is also kind of strange in itself, like how you're having a full conversation with someone who's dead. But with the fact of these different realities, what's stopping the bomber being someone completely different every time?
Well, yeah.
Because if it's it's always just somehow taking place within that reality. I'm guessing that's probably must be what it is,
because like when we watched Doctor Strange, I said to you, other people were different in the universe or multiverse or whatever it is. However, Doctor Strange was the same person, and I know you said, it's for ease of... Because that was the same thing like in these other universes with the source code. Stevens or Jake Gyllenhaal, or whatever you want to call him, his character was still the same. And so was Christine. And it's like, but yet you could be the same person but look completely different in a universe. So I know Doctor Strange said that he would love his... What's she called now? What's her
Rachel McAdams. Yeah.
Character in any multiverse. And I said, that's really sweet. And I thought that was really touching. And I said to you, Paul, didn't I? Would you love me in any multiverse? And what did you say?
I said, what if you were like a really bad person?
Mean. I was like, Paul, like, so just a nice moment of like some sweet
could happen though.
Relationship.
There could be a universe where you're really nasty and spiteful or something. It can be a complete different tonal shift. You don't know.
Like Wanda.
Yeah, or anything else. I mean, there could be a thing where we're all like spider people or something. Like literal spiders.
Now you're going into Rick and Morty shit.
Multiverse stuff, yeah. But then we'd all be the same, so we could still all be exactly as we are, but we just have weird deformed features and something.
Well, would you rather have me as a deformed spider or not have me at all?
Well, as I am now, but you as a deformed spider.
Yeah, because the me has died in your universe.
Are you asking?
Well, there'd be no podcast. You could get the spider on.
Do you talk normally?
Yeah.
Not like a...
No, but I've got legs. I've got like 8 legs.
Human legs or spider legs?
Spider legs. Out of my human body.
Sorry?
Out of my human body.
Out of human body. So your top half is human, like a mermaid, but with spider instead.
Yeah. Like instead of arms, I have got spider.
Might not be so bad then.
Okay.
That's just one example of things that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there's a multiverse? Just
Again, like you're saying about, how did people come up with this stuff? But obviously, theoretically, there is the possibility of such a thing.
I don't know. I've not really ever thought about it until we've been watching these TV or programs.
Yeah, it's just been more touched upon, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and it's like,
But-
I kind of believe that there's something out there. Like, I do believe, like, there's aliens or other life source out there. I'm not delusional to think there isn't other planets. But I do believe more, like, in time travel than a multiverse. But, I don't know.
And in terms of the director's work with this, obviously I said about it being David Bowie's son. There's no...
No, I couldn't care less. I wouldn't even known if he hadn't said.
Yeah, so that's what I thought I might bring up before and for me to go, like, is there anything in there that would have really triggered anything? But the only thing that maybe might have happened is, like, if he'd have done, when that was it, her ex was calling her Michelle Monaghan's Christine character, and it'd been like a David Bowie song or something instead of the I am the one and only.
I think I prefer that, to be fair. No, it doesn't seem to do a bad job, to be honest. It does get better as the film goes on, and you do get a bit of emotions within it. So I know I felt it a little bit when Stephen's character, or Stevens?
Yeah, Stevens.
Yeah, Stephen's character was ringing his dad, and like his kind of farewell call, but he did it as he was Stephen's friend, even though it was himself, because obviously his dad would not understand that it's like ringing from the dead or something.
Yeah.
And just that touching kind of sad moment, and
probably there's nothing you do, which is kind of nice,
making you kind of realise that every moment you have in life is like eating a sandwich.
I mean, like the fact that just before he gets the life support switched off, essentially, and it's like kind of freeze frame on that moment when he kisses Christine, and obviously before that he's kind of got that comedian guy washed up comedian to do like a performance. So all the people on the phone, they're all kind of like mid laughing and stuff. So that's kind of like a nice, like, even if the film ended there, that'd be a nice way to end it. Kind of like they're just in that moment forever, and it's kind of just like a nice.
I think I prefer that, to be fair, because the ending confuses me a little bit.
Yeah, it just keeps going. Because in my head, I'm thinking, like, I'm sure this is where the film ends. Like, in a nice... That's what I mean by, like, a nice way. It kind of, like, is in there. It's forever in that moment. That's all,
Yeah.
It's great. Then it kind of, like, carries on. Like, he goes on with his life and everything like that.
Like, what the hell's going on again?
Yeah, in his mind, yeah.
And then the other factor of, like, a multiverse where he might be around and alive as Sean. Yeah,
although he's still in his containment thing, like half a body and everything, hooked into a machine at that bit, and it's like we know where the bomber is and everything, and it's
And in another verse that they live on, do the people on the train?
Yeah, I guess so. Whether that didn't happen or
I don't think it did, because he prevented it. Because in the text message it says he texted saying that they were on a train and the bomber was tied up and everything. So
I was just touching back on obviously the earlier parts when he's kind of like fumbling through, getting to try and figure out stuff in the early stages, and it's like going like, oh, just get a gun from the storage container and stuff, like what, like faffing around and stuff to try and get this thing, and it's like, do you think that's really going to work? Like, oh yeah, just go upstairs, unlock the thing, and nothing's going to happen. And then it's like, that's not enough time to do all that stuff to get to where he needs to be doing what he's doing. So it's the frustration is onset earlier on with that, because like you don't know where you are as the character. You feel that frustration, and then it's like, how am I supposed to do this in this length of time? Yeah.
It's just like too much pressure on one person for 8 minutes time, and then repeat and repeat.
Yeah.
Kind of takes your toll on you, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like, I don't like it in video games myself.
Like if you die and you have to go back again.
Yeah, not so much that perhaps, but more like if you got like you got to get to somewhere or do something in a set time limit, and it's quite a small window of time, and like I get probably like stressed to rest of times with working to a time limit of stuff, and it's like, oh my god, I gotta do this and thing, and then you just make more mistakes and stuff as you're going through, and it's very annoying for me.
Kind of reminds me of the game that you're playing at the moment with Portal.
Replayed that on Switch, and I don't think I don't remember playing. I must not have finished the first one because I don't remember the last boss in that, essentially. And it was kind of like, right, okay, I got these things to get in this incinerator, and it's like, right, where's the next one? Like, what do I do? Like, I had to reset because we're not going to do this in that time now, so just restart the timer on that, and then I literally just managed to finish the thing with like a second just before I was about to die, because I was again fumbling around with time, like, oh, I just got this thing now, where I got to take it over here, now I've got to open the bottle, I was just stressful.
And then if you die as well, it repeats itself and loops back round.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, I'm going to have to do it all over again.
Dialogue.
Yeah, it's really irritating. Yeah. So dying in video games is very annoying, especially when like playing Crash Bandicoot as well, all those things, those difficult levels, and it's like, oh, I've just gone through the whole thing, and it's like you've lost your last life and you've got to do it all over again.
Yeah, especially with those games when they were more old school games, they were not as forgiving, were they? No. Let's be honest, compared to nowadays.
So that's the only level of
don't
frustration.
Have autosave.
No, doing Skyrim. Yeah, that's the thing. So you can, like those games where you can just save just before you go and fight a boss, just in case.
Yeah.
And you just do it again or run away. Yeah. So do you have anything else to discuss on this one? I feel like we've kind of touched on various other things, but not much about the film itself.
It's kind of just there. There's not much really depth that I can see.
Did the runtime help? The hour and a half.
But
I think it was actually an hour 33 though. So I don't know where I got the idea of it being an hour and a half. Maybe it's the film itself, and then maybe a bit of the credits. But anyway, did it drag? Essentially,
at the beginning, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Not gonna lie, it did, but it got better.
For me, I don't know. I feel like it didn't seem so bad when I obviously saw it for the one and only time in the cinema. I think my brother went to see it.
Aww.
It kind of, despite the film's short runtime, it kind of felt like it did do a little bit drag. I don't know why particularly. Maybe it's because it's kind of like I wasn't as drawn into the story this time, even though I kind of sort of know where it was. I knew where it was going, but I still couldn't remember.
Yeah, I think it was intriguing trying to figure out on the train, like people watching, figure out who could be the bomber.
Yeah.
And I kept on picking out the wrong people. Like, I was convinced it was the guy with the scarf at one point that he was beating up. I was like, that's definitely him. But it wasn't. But it was tied with that group, though, because it was the person that got off with the bike, give the person his wallet or something, didn't he?
That's right, yeah. But even the whole why are you doing this type of thing wasn't a particularly good reason, was it? It was just like...
It makes you worry about the world nowadays, if that's what they were thinking 10 years ago was a good excuse to bomb something.
I think that's always been the case, really. It's just, just because, essentially.
The world needs to crumble because it's not in a good place.
But it's like, are you really going to be the one to... the saviour to,
Well, not really, because...
help us all, like, what... That'd be funny, but, like, what's a train bombing going to do? It's not going to shape the world, is it? Especially, just because it's in Chicago as well. It's not exactly, like New York or some really major city. But not the saying that Chicago isn't important, but I'm just saying like a big, landmark spot.
I know this is a great thing to say. Oh, don't bomb Chicago, go bomb New York, because then it'll matter.
No, but you know what I'm saying about the whole thing of like, I'm going to shape the world kind of thing, and just...
I just don't think it's the right way to go about it in general, is it really?
No, it's not at all. Just almost like someone to do in it.
I think there's something seriously wrong with
people. Yeah,
them really when they get to that point. The brain's been a little bit washed.
Yeah, rebuild from the rubble for a new world, but it needs to be rubble first.
No. But yeah, I'm not in love with the film. I don't think it's like oh my God, I'll watch that again.
Yeah.
It's like I've seen it. Okay, I've watched it. If somebody spoke about it to me, I would put my comments in, but that's about it.
Yeah.
It's not like ones that we've had recently where I've really enjoyed them.
Yeah.
It's just been a film to watch.
Yeah, simple action, sci-fi.
I don't really like action as well, which doesn't really help matters. I think action and comedy are my least favourite genres.
Yeah.
Like, compared to the Grand Budapest and Pompo?
Pompo, yeah.
Pompo?
Yeah.
This is just not in the same league.
Okay, well, it's good enough time to Zenny to give us your score then.
I think it's like middle for diddle. It's. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I don't really gel with anyone, as in, I think because I already know they're all dead, it's like I'm not getting emotionally attached to anyone, really.
Yeah, not
like,
even Michelle Monaghan's character.
She's nice.
Yeah.
But, she's going to die, so it's like, it's not like, don't die. Literally, she's going to die within 8 minutes of watching the film. So, it's like, well, that happens.
Yeah, because there's not, aside from him dreaming that life carries on, there's no reconciliation, thinking, oh, there's a chance that they can save everybody, kind of thing.
No.
So,
I think it's good, it's enjoyable, it drags a little bit at the beginning, but then it gets better as it goes on. The story's a little bit sick and twisted, just from the fact of the government using dead bodies the way that they are.
Yeah.
Not as bad as I thought, with him thinking, oh, this isn't my kind of body. Overall, I'd say 6.5, probably. It's there.
Well, I'm going the same as you.
Really?
Which is weird, because I thought when you said middle, I thought that's normally your 6. Or I didn't think you were going to go 5. But...
I was considering a 7 and I thought, no, I can't really.
No.
It's not 7 worthy.
No. It was okay to come back to this one, I'd say.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like... It did somewhat not appeal to me as much as maybe, obviously, I've changed considerably in 10 years. Time for... Some films stand the test of time, some don't, but not so much appreciation for this one as much as I did in the first watch. But yeah,
I agree.
Still solid. And wouldn't say like I would never see that again, but it
wouldn't be like I must put it on either.
Yeah.
No,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good then.
Getting better finer tuned with each other, aren't we here?
Seems that way. Yeah.
I think Paul just writes on my pad, really, everyone, and tells me what to score it. He done, I promise.
That's not the point of the show now.
You must score this Sophie a 6. No. I am my own person, don't worry, viewers.
Listeners,
whatever you are.
Wherever you are.
Yeah.
Whoever you are, in different dimensions. Yeah.
There might be an alien listening to this.
This might be a 10 in another dimension.
Spider Sophie.
Sci-fi, computers, robot Sophie.
Yeah.
Something to think about, isn't it, really?
No. My brain would go too much into overdrive. Mine was like, I can't cope with all of that.
Well, hopefully you can cope with listening to some of our other episodes. Hopefully. And you can do so over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from.
You can also follow us, if you haven't already, obviously, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Keep forgetting that one. And if you're wanting to find us, it's under the handle SP_. Don't forget the underscore, it's very important. Film viewers.
Yep, so that is SP_film viewers. Just
in case. Just don't forget the underscore.
And if you would be so kind, also, to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever else they do the scoring system. I think Podchaser is another one of those. I keep forgetting now. But that would be very much appreciated as well. Helps us reach other listeners. Get us out into the big wide world of the movie podcast world.
Like, somebody might be missing out on us and they wouldn't even know. There's all of that, isn't there?
Yeah.
The what ifs.
Right.
So yeah, any kind, nice comments, reviews, always appreciated and makes our day.
Does. So thank you very much once again for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye now.
Bye.
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 Bye.